When Rod Ferguson joined us on our E3 stage, our conversation covered a lot of ground. As a veteran of Epic Games and founder of the Coalition, his insight is key to understanding the evolution of Gears of War. It's also key to understanding the newest entry in the storied series. The Coalition became the steward of the franchise when Epic sold Gears to Xbox Game Studios. With that came the weight of an 8-year legacy, one that Ferguson, having worked on every mainline Gears game to date, didn't take lightly. As he said on the E3 stage, with Gears 4, the studio wanted to earn fans' trust. With Gears 5, it wanted to evolve. And after spending a week with Gears 5, surrounding myself in all of its changes and exploring every mode, I can safely say it has evolved. In fact, in many ways, it's taken a sharp turn, and I couldn't be happier. Gears 5's changes are pervasive. That is, they come in ways both big and small. On the larger side of things is Escape Mode. It stands apart from Campaign, Versus, and Horde Mode, adding a new pillar to the Gears of War trifecta. Escape is less about hopping from cover to cover as you take your time clearing a room. It's about forward movement and quick decision-making as you fight your way out of a dying swarm hive. These tenets aren't completely absent from previous Gears games, but they were never the focus. Escape Mode adds a whole new layer to the Gears identity. So too do the campaign's 2 open worlds. Based on early reviews, these spaces are proving divisive, and I can see why. Gears of War is built on steady pacing through discrete environments and contained set pieces. On paper, explorable sandboxes should throw that pacing off, but in my experience, they don't. In fact, I found they did the opposite. They allow for some breathing room, a come down, so to speak, after the high of a boss fight or the intensity of a cutscene. They allow characters to interact away from the blood, gore, and cursing of a gunfight. They also emphasize preparation and planning over split-second reactions. That is, they change how you compose your loadout. Delta Squad's skiff can store 2 additional weapons, meaning you can create a moving armory fit for an array of situations. You can prepare for what you think is going to be a long-range shootout, only to find that it is, in fact, a close-quarters nightmare. Gears' creative arsenals have long been a staple of the series, and the open worlds subtly change how you outfit your characters. While you could make the argument that the Coalition is chasing trends by adding open spaces to its linear formula, it does enough to make them feel distinct. It uses them to encourage planning and characterization, doing away with the firefight, cutscene, firefight formula it's relied on for so long. Although the Coalition runs the risk of alienating many fans with these sandboxes, it's refreshing to see them re-examining what makes the series tick. As I mentioned earlier, there are changes on a smaller scale as well, tons of them. And while they seem subtle in isolation, they all combine to create a much different combat flow than I've experienced in Gears 5's predecessors. These range from basic stealth to a deeper melee system. Gears 5 also does away with the reticle bloom of earlier installments, opting instead for actual weapon recoil. In essence, they've changed how it feels to play a Gears game. Traditional wisdom says not to fix what isn't broken, but this is the rare exception. What's more, Gears 5 implements a companion character that rivals the likes of Atreus in God of War. By upgrading your squad's robot, aka the ever-lovable Jack, he allows you to cloak around enemies, opening them to brutal finishing attacks. He can freeze opponents where they stand, shortly before your squad shatters them from cover. He can even fetch you ammo, items, and weapons, and trust me when I say that this ability is his most useful by far. The result of these minor tweaks is that I'm actually spending more time out of cover than ever before. Considering Gears defined the cover-based shooter and built a legacy on it to boot, it's strange to be out in the open, sending a robot to stun someone while I sprint up with a cloak on and execute them from behind. Even on harder difficulties, Gears 5 encourages me to be creative with my approach, and it's rewarding every step of the way. There are numerous other changes the Coalition has introduced to its namesake franchise, but all of this is to say that despite how divisive some of them will undoubtedly be, it's promising to see a studio attempting to change things. The Coalition will always be wrestling with the past in one way or another. Gears of War 4's safe approach is proof of that, but it feels like the studio has finally hit its stride. Gears 5 feels like the developer had an absolute blast making it, and for me, that fun is infectious. I can only hope the Coalition continues to be so bold.
Take us home, Sam.
Got it, sweet cheeks.